Joining us now is Dave Aronberg, the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, and Francey Hakes, a former federal and state prosecutor. Thank you both for being here. Dave, the attorneys for Donald Trump and the various co-defendants tried mightily to get Terrence Bradley to talk about when the relationship started. The attorney questioning him was stymied and clearly frustrated. At one point, Ashley Merchant said, "Judge, he doesn't remember much of anything right now."
Yeah, not a good look for him, because he did have a lot of moments when he couldn't remember basic things and he took a long time to answer. And he had these damning text messages where he was gossiping apparently about his own client, saying that they did start a relationship when they were judges. And now he's walking that back, saying, well, now he was just speculating. So apparently he was lying to the other lawyer, or he's lying now. It doesn't look good either way. He didn't have a lot of credibility to me on the stand today.
Can you just answer me the question of why they're texting each other? I don't understand why he and Ashley Merchant have been texting about this relationship. Was she already representing one of the defendants when they were doing this?
Yes, and he knew that. So loose lips sink ships, right? So he's there texting, and now he doesn't remember anything. He's saying it's all speculative. He is clammed up. And so this is not a good thing, I think, for just the rule of law. And that's why I think the judge here has to make an important decision. It's not as much about whether a conflict existed anymore. It's about whether they lied to the court.
Right. Francey, what did you make of the testimony today?
Well, I thought it was not great lawyering, to be honest with you, Elizabeth. There were a lot of questions that didn't get asked. It seemed like Ashley Merchant, I think she had the information she needed, but I'm not sure she has the experience to understand in court how to prove certain facts, how to lay foundation. And so that allowed Bradley to get away with an awful lot of sort of kind of slimy answers of, oh, I just can't recall. Oh, could you repeat the question? These are classic defendants' tactics when they're trying to figure out what they want to say. They stall for time. And that's what Bradley spent the day doing, stalling for time. And I think David is absolutely right that this is a bad look for him. He is a lawyer. He's been a practicing lawyer for a long time. Ashley Merchant sent him a motion, asked him to review it, and he told her that it was all good. And now he wants us to believe that he didn't really know she was going to file it. He didn't really understand the purpose of the motion. In fact, he may be a lawyer, but maybe he doesn't even know the law. I mean, well, it was ridiculous testimony.
And at one point, Ashley Merchant said to him, I texted you and asked you, did the relationship start sooner than when they said it did? And he answered absolutely. And he's now saying, I misread the question?
He's basically saying, oh, that referred to a different quote. He's trying to backtrack, and it doesn't make any sense. I can't believe the judge will think he has any credibility at all, especially when the judge has found that his claims of how he got this knowledge about the relationship were privileged under attorney-client privilege. And the judge has found there's no privilege. So that's another area of credibility problem for Bradley with the judge.
But so, Francey, this matters because Nathan Wade and Fani Willis have testified under oath. They didn't start dating until November of 2022, I believe, 2021. It was after he was hired. And if these text messages that he was texting to Ashley Merchant are true, they lied under oath.
Well, that's right. I believe what Nathan Wade said on the stand was they started dating in something like March of 2022. And this witness told a key person, one of the defense attorneys, something very different from that. And the cell records reflect something very different from that. And one of Fani Willis's former friends says something very different from that. So there are several data points that the judge can use in deciding whether or not Willis and Wade have lied on the witness stand, and I think that created a whole other can of worms. If they had just confessed to this relationship and when it started from the beginning, I mean, I'm sure David will agree with me, it's always the cover-up, not the crime.
Yeah.
100% what she said. This was a self-inflicted wound. All they had to do is come clean and then recuse him, Nathan Wade, from the case. And then none of this would have happened. But instead, Nathan Wade submitted a sworn affidavit setting forth that the relationship didn't begin until later, and he got reimbursed for the expenses by Fani Willis. And if it's proven that they lied, both of them, then they're both gone from the case and possibly facing bar sanctions.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.